Hello, Francisco. Connor.
Hi, Robin.
Hi.
Good morning. Hi, Robin.
Yep. How are we today?
I'm very good. I have a new friend.
Yeah.
You can't see that, but
What? A dog.
yeah. Do you remember last week that I was driving?
Yeah.
I was driving during 2 weeks ago during the meeting. I was going to rescue her. So now it's a dog.
Yeah. Well, keep you company.
Oh, definitely. Now that I'm back to work.
Yeah. Always happens.
Yeah.
Morning, everyone.
Morning, Jan.
Morning, John.
Morning.
Morning, Ian. Morning, Dominic. How are you?
Yeah, very well, thank you. Very well. You?
Good. Fine. Yes.
Looking very Christmassy in the background.
Yeah. You've got to do
Tinsel up. Mine's very plain, I'm afraid.
Yeah. No. Yeah. Morning, Lucy. Morning. Barry.
Hi.
Morning.
Morning, Lucy.
Hiya, Jan, you okay?
Yeah, good, thank you.
Good, good.
Good. Not enough hours in the day.
No. And much colder days too.
Yeah, definitely. I don't think I've set foot outside the house since the weekend.
Sure, Barry's got it colder up there than down here.
I think that would be safe to say, yes.
It's not a competition, Robin.
just a fact of life.
Barry, haven't you?
It gets bloody cold up here. No, we had our first snow of the winter.
Yeah, I heard that.
So who got the first vaccine in UK?
Yay!
Are you all vaccinated? Are you all vaccinated already?
Not yet.
No, luckily I'm not old enough to get vaccine yet.
Yeah, it was a lady and then a guy called William Shakespeare.
Who happens to be from Warwick.
Coincidence, was it?
Yeah, William Shakespeare from Warwickshire.
You couldn't really write it, could you?
No.
But to be honest, isn't that going to end in tragedy?
Well, that's cheered us all up, Francesco.
What happened? Who's that my name? Lost 2 seconds.
So if there's all this COVID thing, it's just been a comedy of errors.
Yeah.
Another one. Boom.
Boom.
I can go all day. I was once in a networking meeting about a week ago, and I spent 5 minutes taking the mick out of somebody's background that was Minions based. All in good fun, but they were just for 5 minutes. Everyone in the room was just like, "Oh my god, can we just please mute the IT guy?" It's like I was like going, "There's a reason why I'm an IT guy. I don't get out much." It's like Zoom's the only reason I've socialised in 5 years.
Morning, Roy. Morning, Nigel.
Morning, Robin. Morning.
Morning.
Morning all.
Morning.
Yeah. So nice to see you, Raphael.
Good morning, Robin. Very sunny here in Bristol.
Well, that's don't knock it.
You have sun over there. Nice.
Yeah.
Huh.
Don't worry, I'll soon send you some of our rain.
Not a chance today here.
I've just actually looked outside, and yeah, it is actually quite nice out there, isn't it? So, but a bit chilly. Well, just a minute more, and then we'll be at the 10 o'clock mark.
Robin, you should extend the invitation to a few South European country, so we can get some sun through the Tuesday.
Yeah, I mean, when I started the forum, I did receive a couple from Spain, but I tried to keep it to the UK and Ireland, just not sort of.
Yeah, makes sense. Makes sense.
Morning, Julian.
Morning all. How are we doing?
Morning.
Fine.
Hi.
Where is the plethora of Christmas spirit and festive jumpers and everything else? Come on.
I'm in red.
Well
I
done.
think the memo, Julian.
I've got my Christmas decorations.
You see? Robin, you are the Christmas decoration. Come on. I'll go no further than that.
Julian, I received your video yesterday, so stop trying to make lack of festivity then.
Yeah, no, I try to make up for it, Jan, sorry. And I apologise for the video.
Yeah.
It was a good video. I was like, perhaps there's a sprig of holly somewhere.
Oh, unlikely, but never mind. It's all up here, you know, in the festive spirit. It's all there.
Yeah. Perhaps we'll make the 22nd like obligation that somebody has a Christmas jumper or something like that.
Right. Well, I can see Cat is even tinseled as well. Look at that.
So, Raphael, is the hotel open after the lockdown?
No, we've decided, obviously we're in tier 3. So after the lockdown, we were forced to close. And we've decided not to reopen now by the 27th of December if we do move to a tier 2. But even though I think we're still looking at potentially only a couple of days opening in January and so on as well, because I don't think there'll be any volume of business as such. But yeah, we'll see. I guess we have to play it by ear and see what's happening. So
I think that when they put the furlough on till March, I think it kind of in a way gave a lot of hotels that opportunity, didn't it? Really, the fact.
I was surprised actually before the second lockdown, the amount of hotels. I think there were 12 hotels open in Bristol as well that kind of ran at 20 to 30% occupancy even during lockdown, which was quite good actually, because surprisingly good. But as it stands at the moment, I think there's only 2 or 3 hotels that are still trying to open, but they only get 15 to 20 rooms a day and a couple of meetings as well for critical workers.
Okay. How's Scotland doing? What's the situation up there, Barry?
Mixed bag, Robin. Mixed bag. Most of the Central Belt is still in our level 4, which is equivalent to the full lockdown that England was enjoying up until last week. Significant factor will be this afternoon. We're awaiting the update from the Scottish Government at about 2:30 this afternoon. The areas which are in level 4 should be coming out as of Friday, and we'll find out this afternoon what level they'll be going into. I think it's probably best to assume that those currently in level 4 will go into level 3. That's probably the best assumption. There's still very much a don't travel unless it's really essential. And an interesting piece that was published over the weekend was kind of showing the contrast between the level 3 and 4 areas. Edinburgh and Glasgow. Edinburgh is currently in level 3, so able to trade if they wish. Hotels were reporting below 30% occupancy. Inverness, which is in level 1, which is the kind of as close to almost normality as you can get in Scotland, hotels were reporting above 70% occupancy. So in those areas where places can trade, there still does seem to be that drive to have a bit of a staycation. I think just to get out of your house and get out of your office and go somewhere a little bit different. So promising reports, because I don't imagine there's many hotels in Inverness would expect to be reporting 70% occupancy at the end of November going into December. So yeah, swings and roundabouts.
Tim, are you there? How's Bournemouth getting on? You're in tier 2, aren't you?
Yes, I am in tier 2. Where our cases are going down here in Dorset. We're one of the top 10. We're lucky enough for the cases going down, but we're still in tier 2. Business, yeah. I mean, there are the LGH hotels are closed till February, so that's the Carlton and the Eastcliff. The Holiday Inn Hampton by Hilton's did very well during lockdown because the travel lodges and the Premier Inns were pretty much closed down here. The hotels are okay at the moment. We're actually seeing, I think I said last time, some of the hotels that were closed, the 2 bay hotels, have both gone under offer by different people. So that's good news as well. But obviously January is looking very bleak. January, February is looking very bleak. And I think a lot of people are going to close, like we've just been talking about, so that people can use the furlough, as we said, because the business won't be there.
Okay. Andy, would you like to? There's always the debate about what's a substantial meal. Would you like to give us an update on what's considered a substantial meal?
Yeah. Look. Okay. So first of all, substantial meal isn't legislation. There's been a lot of talk about substantial meals. It is in the guidance, but it's not in the legislation. In the legislation, it mentions table meal. Okay. And the first thing is legislation is you must, and obviously guidance is you should. So that's the first thing. But most importantly, there's a huge licensing authorities have been sending out guidance, their own guidance to operators within their area, telling them what they should and shouldn't do. There is no consistency at all going out. I don't know if any of you guys have had stuff from your local authorities. But just one thing to remember, substantial meal, we'll go back to the Scotch egg scenario, okay? Back in 1965, this was actually tested, and it was tested on a pork pie or something. I can't remember exactly what it was, and it had to have pickles with it. So basically, they say that as long as you've got 2 elements on the plate, then it's classed as a substantial meal. Okay, I'd say put 3 on. So a Scotch egg, which actually consists of 2 elements, because it's an egg and your pork, and then if you put some pickles on with it as well, it classes as a table meal stroke substantial meal, whatever you want to call it. Okay. So, you know, you can do this, and you can put up, what I'm advising people to do is put up a COVID compliant menu. So if you want to encourage people to come in and have a snack stroke table meal, so it's got to be served at the table with a knife and fork. That is, you know, true, and you must do table service. Okay. But if you want to do a, you know, value menu that is COVID compliant, do a risk assessment first of all. Okay. Do your due diligence, put that in a document. So if you have the COVID police come round, you can say, here's my risk assessment. Okay. This refers back to the legislation. Okay. And this is my COVID compliant menu that I'm doing. And then see what they've got to say after that. But yeah, you know, it can be done. And also the other thing that I think was going round was when people have finished their meals, they have to drink up and go. Again, that's not true. In the legislation, it says that you should run your business as if it were a restaurant. So if it's a pub, you should run it as if it were a restaurant. Well, I've never been into a restaurant where they've said, okay, you finished your meal, you must go now. Okay. So, you know, again, there is no need to rush people out the door. You know, they can stay there as long as they've had a meal. They can stay there as long as they like. It's all about using your common sense. I mean, I know this is hotels, and it's not, you know, obviously it's not the pubs, etc. But if it were pubs, I'd be saying use your common sense. If you've got people in there, you know, groups of people just in there drinking and getting pissed, then, you know, you need to police that and let them know when they've had enough. Yeah. Okay, so hopefully that's cleared a little bit up about that.
Well, it certainly makes it a bit clearer, and it makes the opportunities greater, I would have thought, because yeah, I mean, a few crisps and a Scotch egg or a pork pie, and
Yeah, absolutely. But serve it with a knife and fork on a plate. Okay, that's the important thing. Do that. Do your risk assessment. Have a document so it's documented. It doesn't need to be big, but it just refers back to the legislation. And you know, if police or licensing come in and want to challenge you, then give them that information. And if they're still kicking up, then give me a shout and let me deal with them. All right.
Right. Thank you. So we'll get on to our first presentation today. We've got Neil Farron. I'm just going to mute everybody just to be sure. And then Neil, if you can unmute yourself. And
hello, everyone.
Hello. Yep.
Hello, can you hear me?
Yes.
Fantastic.
Just a sec.
Right. Share my screen.
Just a minute. I think I need to just multiple. There you go. That should be it.
Okay.
Yep.
That does. Hello, everyone. For those who don't know me, my name's Neil Farron. I'm a freelance consultant. I provide outsourced revenue management services to the hotel and accommodation sectors. I also give software advice to hotels as well about what kind of tools they should be using and audit their existing software. So as you may have guessed, I like a little bit of data. So I'm just going to run through some things you should be looking out for, especially that hopefully now the vaccines today will start rolling out, and hopefully by the next few months we can open up business again. So I think data will lead to a much smarter recovery, and hopefully will be a much faster recovery than hopefully other downturns. So basically, data, what I feel data is to give you the information you need to make smart business decisions, rather than just putting your finger up in the air going, I think we'll do this. Data has to lead that. So, right, sorry, this went past. Right, so what is data? You probably hear a lot of people talking about big data, but what exactly is it? Well, at the most basic level, it's just numbers, it's just values. But if you process that data becomes information. And with that information, you can answer questions with fact. And with facts, you can make better business decisions. That's my mantra. So if we look at, it's all about measuring your performance. So the first thing I'm going to look at is rooms. And you probably recognize these traditional KPIs, key performance indicators that we all know and love. Hopefully you've got your percentage occupancy, your average room rate, and your revenue per available room, which are all well and good, but they don't really show you they're quite limited in what they're showing you. RevPAR traditionally has always been one of the key metrics that revenue managers have used to show the hotel's efficiency in selling the rooms and the revenue gained from selling the rooms. However, yeah, again, that's got its limitations. So what now the revenue managers are looking towards more what we call profitability KPIs. So it's all right having 100 rooms sold at £50 average rate, but if that £50 took you a lot of money to get that £50 average rate, well, is there really any point doing it because you're not making any profit? So now there's a trend to go beyond RevPAR to do what we call net room per available room. So that takes in your distribution costs. So basically commissions that you pay to OTAs, any transaction fees you pay on your website booking engine. And that really gets you down and going, well, considering that I've sold 99% of my rooms through Expedia and Booking.com, and the commissions that come with it, is it worth it? So we, as revenue managers, we like to extend those KPIs to look at booking data. So what your transactions are showing, to try and, well, we like to predict the future. Unfortunately, during COVID, that's not always been possible. So, but as I said, hopefully as we go into Q1 and Q2 of 21, we can now measure this travel boom that we're going to have, hopefully, fingers crossed. So the first thing I would look at is your pickup on your business on the books, what we refer to as BOB. So measure your business on the books this week for the next 3 months, and then run it again next week or the next few days and do a comparison of the two. And that allows you to see whether you're, number one, picking up business and what dates are particularly popular. So it could be a weekend. Traditionally, Monday, Tuesday, Wednesday has been corporate travel dates. Well, business is not really traveling. Is there something else you can do there to attract midweek business? So identify your trends and respond accordingly. Booking pace just simply means let's measure what we've got on the books at this moment in time and compare it to a historical time frame. Is that relevant just now? Well, that's the big conversation that revenue managers are having. What's the point of measuring the month of December 2020 to the month of December 2019? Of course, it's going to be down. But yeah, again, as things move and we begin to pick up, I would recommend you having keep an eye on pace and see how fast you're picking up reservations. Booking windows is another good one. So a booking window is measuring the length of time between the date the booking was made and when the guest comes to visit your hotel. During the pandemic, it was quite clearly seen that that booking window was quite reduced. So it was anywhere between 0 and I think it was 3 to 7 days. So quite short lead-in time. So that's saying, well, should I be offering rates 6 months down the line, or do I close them out and just concentrate on that small lead-in time? So another good one and help you with your rate setting decisions. Segmentation. Segmentation just basically means categorizing your bookings into buckets, into what your consumers are buying, when are they buying it, what rates are they buying, are they buying room only, are they buying bed and breakfast, and maybe they're not buying dinner, bed and breakfast. So what's the point of having a dinner, bed and breakfast rate if no one's buying it? Perhaps you could maybe redesign that dinner, bed and breakfast package you've got and maybe do it as an upsell. It could be more profitable for you to do it that way. So having an overall picture of your guest spend and how they're booking, when they're booking, when you come out, or when we all come out the other side, will really help you sustain that recovery, definitely. As I said, within revenue management, there's a movement towards profitability KPIs. So rather than looking at our tactics to generate revenue, it's also looking at, well, what has it cost us to get that revenue? And these are two really good KPIs you could be looking at. One is called gross operating profit per available room. So that's looking at all your revenue generating ideas of your business, and then taking into account all your variable costs for that. So yeah, again, commission, booking transaction fees, and that lets you to focus, well, what areas of my business is the most profitable for me, and where should I really concentrate on, and where should I really cut out the dead wood. Next one is called TREFPAR, very similar to RevPAR that we all know and love, but this is total revenue per available room. Yeah, again, taking into account all the revenue generating areas of the business, so food, beverage, spa, leisure, whatever. And for those guests staying at house, it allows you to do, well, how good am I converting someone who buys a room only rate? How good am I converting them to have breakfast with me? Perhaps having dinner with me as well. But yeah, again, that doesn't factor in any costs, or it doesn't factor in any occupancy levels on that measure. So it's taking all these and building the huge big picture to see, well, what areas am I making most money on? So that has traditionally been associated with rooms, but revenue management is slowly but surely making its way into food and beverage operations as well. So having KPIs that goes beyond rooms. So obviously you have your revenue mix. So what proportion of your total revenue do all your revenue providers provide to that overall pie? So rooms, food, beverage, leisure, spa, whatever you want to do. RevPAG is revenue per available guests. Same as RevPAR, the only thing you're doing is taking your rooms and replace it by all the guests who stayed in the hotel. So another good one as well to have a look at and get it down into a guest-centric revenue strategy rather than just maybe purely rooms revenue strategy. Another one they're looking at now is called RevPash, which is a fairly tongue twister. So that's revenue per available seat hour. I say this is for more restaurant management. It gives you an idea of how much revenue you're generating per hour and on a capacity basis, which sounds quite complicated. So if you want that, there's a little calculator you can use. This link here allows you to work that out. So it could be that maybe between 5 and 6, you're not making any money. So you do an early bird menu. Should you do your COVID value menu between those times to try and generate some revenue at some slack periods during the day? Data sources. So where do you get your data from? Well, there's various different elements and tools you can pull data from. Obviously, you've got your property management system, which should be the heart of your operation. You've got your tills, your electronic point of sales, if you've got them. You can get data from your channel manager, from your web booking engine on your website, and competitor rate shopping tools if you've got them. But yeah, again, data, sometimes you can have too much data and it begins to overload your systems or your KPIs that you're trying to pull. So try and focus on the systems that you're using on a daily basis. I say probably the most one for me as a property revenue manager is my PMS. But should I be looking at weather? Should I be looking at transport? I know flights are really restricted just now, but yeah, again, if the new year brings a wee bit of relief and we began to get international travel again, if my hotel's right beside the airport, should I be getting arrivals and departure data through? And then hopefully data regarding coronavirus. Should I be looking at that as well, especially when we're moving up and down tiers? Hopefully that's going to have an impact on my business. So uncertainty, unfortunately, is going to remain a quite close companion to us all for some time to come. But what I would suggest is, because it's a changing trading environment, things are changing all the time. It's time to get real. So what I would suggest is to get some sort of platform for real-time intelligence, as we're calling it in revenue management circles. So that's, you have all these data sources, and what you want to do is try and bring them into one platform, so it gives you a complete helicopter view of your business. As I said, I heard stories of hotels speaking to guests on the phone while government announcements were still being broadcast. So yeah, again, it's so fast paced and things change so quickly that having that real-time intelligence will allow you to make your smarter business decisions. So as you can see before, there's a variety of different data sources, and having that access quickly as possible is key, but obviously there's huge barriers to doing that. And one of those barriers is the systems themselves. How easy is it for them to integrate with a business intelligence platform? A lot of the old legacy systems, well, yes, you're going to have a problem with that. But if you've got cloud-based software, a lot of the new tech vendors in hospitality offer integrations, and it's quite easy to set up. So that's one thing. Another thing is crap data. You know, what you put in is what you get out. So having some training with your team about capturing all that good data, using the correct rate plans, using the correct segmentation codes will enhance your business decision making. And then lastly, but not least, is the cost. Traditionally, business intelligence has been the reserve of the big chains because they could afford it. However, this is slowly changing. So there's platforms out there that is very cost effective for you and allows you to bring all that data into one dashboard. So if you want, anybody wants a hand with that or any ideas, feel free to give me a chat, a call, a chat, and I'll help you with that. No bother at all. Okay, so that is it. I hope I haven't confused you all or bamboozled you. Has anybody got any questions they would like to ask about data and how to bring it all together and what should be measuring or not measuring? Go.
Anybody? I would like to say, I mean, it is very important to, the two things you've said there, Neil, are very important. First of all is to actually have the data as accessible as possible.
Yeah.
I know, for example, when I do revenue reports for the staff, I always try to include as many of these statistics in there as possible on a daily basis. So we're actually making the whole of a team aware of actually what's going on.
Well, definitely. Yeah. So everybody can, that really encourages that revenue management culture within the whole business. Everybody needs to buy into that, Robin.
Yeah, it's and like you say, it's not just the rooms. It's the waiters saying, well, what revenue per seat have I got last today? What are my average spends? I mean, it's all important because that's what pushes them to actually improve. And often that's what's missing in many companies when they've got the people there. They just don't actually make the most of those clients.
No, definitely. Even down to things like what dishes are most profitable.
Yep.
The great one that I always found was soup. A plate of soup. The GP on a plate of soup's amazing. You know, if you do a simple soup, they're really wholesome and lovely. Only cost you pennies, but you can charge what, £2-3 for that.
I used to own and operate my own restaurant, and I used to love to sell just a bowl of olives and some bread. I used to rub my thighs every single time.
Yeah.
Like, fantastic. That and a cup of coffee.
That's too right. And a lot of people working on the waiting staff or the food and beverage stars, they don't realise things like that. They think, no, you should be serving Chateaubriand or something. And you go, no, a plate of soup, we make more money out of that.
No, spot on, Neil. And just would like you to make a comment as well. As you said, is all the data. And there's so many bits of information that if you really read into it, now you find insights, and then you can take better decisions from there. And it's from rooms to the food, to the drinks, pretty much anywhere. Even though the overheads and everything, if you really analyze, there is data behind. It leaves a trail. So important to capture the trail of the data and to read it. Nice, good information.
Yeah, definitely. I think what hotels been this year again, revenue managers have been, what is the future of revenue management going to be like? When we get into 2021, it's breaking. I think there'll be, let's break down the silos, as they call them, and look at the whole picture. As you say, from what, instead of have one team looks at rooms, one team looks at food, one team looks at beverage, bring them all together and act as one person, as one team. And I think that will be a challenge for hotels going into 2021, but it's possible, it's done. A lot of the big chains are moving that way, and it's possible for small independents to go that way as well.
Every bit of that information is becoming more and more available. Even small, let's say, teams that would like to speed up some of this information gathering, for example, could use things like AppSheet from Google, which are amazing. That there are options. It's not based on the cost of it now. It's more based on understanding what information they need and then trying to find a way to get it.
Exactly. No, definitely. I'm not saying that, as I said before, that sometimes there's data overload. You just get far too much and go, wow, what's it's telling me? It's having the ability to, the human insight to go and, well, what is that piece of data set telling me? It's okay having all these fancy systems, and they say, no, we don't need revenue managers. Yes, you do. You need someone to interpret the data for you.
You do need the experience.
Call going forward.
Neil, I think you hit the nail on the head. It's the outputs. The outputs are one thing. The interpretation of the output, that's where the intelligence comes. There's another rather blunt implement that can be used, and I've used it, but I've used it generally at sort of head of department level, and it is blunt, but if you assume budgeting on a monthly basis and income of 100 and outgoings of 90, just as an example, although outgoings could of course be 110, if you simply divide that by the number of days in the month, and you say, my numbers will be wrong, but guys, today, it's going to cost us 10 to open the front doors. We're going to make 5. So today, we're all about losing money. Now, it might be that tomorrow we're going to make 15, so it's okay.
Yeah.
But I've used it in the past just simply to sharpen minds on, today we need to be careful in how we operate and what we do. Tomorrow's a better day. But it's a very, very simple measure, and it can, delivered properly and in, with the right setting, it can just focus minds a little bit. Really blunt, but can do it.
Yeah. And what was the look in the faces when you show them, Julian?
Well, there are days where people's faces go down, and there are days, wedding days normally, if anyone can remember that, the day when weddings used to take place, where people used to smile and think, wow, today's a good day. But of course, just used in isolation, it doesn't mean a great deal. But shared perhaps on a daily basis, it just brings into focus. Let's just think about tomorrow, because of course we don't just look at today, we look at tomorrow. Let's just think about tomorrow, where it's going to be a tough day. Could we cut a little bit, trim a little bit? Let's just think about it. And doing
you also take that further and maybe do a team incentive scheme. Going, this is a bad day today, but if you get over this threshold, you'll get rewarded for it.
Absolutely. And you can start to bring in these simple things and just getting people on board. That little bit of upsell all helps.
And hopefully when it comes to Robin's P&L, it's going to be fantastic.
Well, I prefer not to wait till the P&L comes out. There's plenty of controls in place so that people know what's going on well before the P&L comes. But it is all about that awareness. The number of times I've heard hotels, they get somebody ring up and say, I can see you on booking.com at 150 quid. Can I give you 145? And they go, no, we're not set up to take that sort of booking. When actually they'd be actually getting more money because they wouldn't be paying the 18% to booking.com. And it's simple things like that needs training into the whole team, so that in every single action they take, they actually understand there's a reaction, there's a cost involved, or there's a benefit involved. And
that's just an education piece, Robin. That's all it is.
Yeah.
It's just going. But then there's probably a lot of the team members, maybe on reservations or the front desk, they're just scared of making a decision.
Can I say something?
Yeah.
So I've been front office manager for 10 years in Ireland. I opened a few hotels, but what I want to say is that sometimes general managers, human resource, at least here in Dublin, they expect from the receptionist that somebody called agent at the reception to be nice, to be smart, to be computer literate, to be able to speak English, French, Italian, Spanish, whatever. And then they pay it like a kitchen porter. Minimum wage for an entry level at reception. But then at the reception on Saturday and Sunday, you have to take a reservation on when the reservation apartment is closed. So you need to be able to know everything and understand commission, and maybe those commission are not, is not clear on Opera. And then if you take a reservation a lower rate, you have been asked why. It's, this is my point of view. When I was debating with one of my GM regarding salary at the reservation team, at the reception team, and often in hotels, if you are young and you want to work, that is the salary. Maybe a bit more, 10, 15. that it's what the kitchen porter usually take. And now I'm not saying that the kitchen porter is not an important part in the hotel, but the skills that you need in order to understand an upselling or a cross-selling or whatever, then it's not easy to keep those people, because if you are lucky enough to find a worker, a collaboratore that's willing to work with you at that rate with the skills that you're looking for, then probably will be able to find another job very easily somewhere else in 6 months. So you are.
Yeah, Francesco, I think that we're having that conversation in the UK just now, that the governments, Westminster and all the devolved governments, do they value the hospitality industry?
It's incredible.
I think it's very low skilled, very low wage. No point supporting them.
Yeah. The difference between our industry and numbers of other industry out there, it's astonishing. I'm considering myself to move from hospitality, also because of that, also because this year is this year, so whatever. But it's just crazy, in my opinion.
Yeah.
Not only Ireland, not only UK, in Italy, worldwide. But then it's another topic.
Yeah, I think it's a constant discussion around the world, isn't it? As far as hospitality, a lot of people think because you're serving them, it's a lower level, when actually it's a high skill. I think that's where incentives come in strongly with the industry, because I mean, America takes it too far by having your half the wage subsidized by your tips, but at the same time, if you're saying to somebody, look, if you can get that much extra money for the company this week, well, we'll give you some of it. You know, it's that actually incentivizing people to actually understand that actually by growing the business, and the ones that are good at it will get more money and they will stay, and the ones that are bad at it, well, I'm sorry, yeah, I know. They'll either hang on because they don't know where to go, or they'll go somewhere else, and you get somebody else that perhaps is a better standard. It's perhaps my financial controller point of view is coming about Stru's song there, but I think there is a lot to be said for gauging the wage of the people to what they can apport to the business, and recognizing that apportation when it actually happens.
And I think it's also about trying to drive into the business those people that are very start of their career that are going to be our future stars. And it's about changing massively as you said, the perception of the industry as being low skilled, low pay. I mean, 25 years for me in hospitality HR, it's those little nuggets of people that you get that you know will work for minimum wage, because you're going to train and develop them, and you'll give them all those skills so that in maybe 5 years they'll be a front office manager. But it's sadly, I think the complication is going to be so many of those people come from Europe currently. And with Brexit as well, complicating that further, we've got to really do something about the industry of our people here to change that whole perception, I think.
Definitely. Sorry to cut short. I think we need to move on, because when it's sat there, I'm just going to mute everybody again. If Dominic, you can unmute yourself, and we'll get on with your presentation.
Yeah, thanks, Robin, and hello everyone. So I'm not presenting. I'm just going to talk because I think it's so just to give you the introduction to me for those who don't know me. So my name's Dominic Child. I'm VP of Sales at Bizon. I've been in hospitality technology for about 20 years, and so kind of experience with Sky, self-service kiosk company that was bought out by Atos, and for the last 8 years, Fourth Hospitality, or Fourth. Which is when I first met Robin, probably 8 years ago or so, I think, and recently moved to Bizon. And Bizon operates a restaurant management platform which combines from the customer perspective, order and pay, digital menus, also EPOS and payment gateway, just so you know kind of where I'm coming from. So Robin asked me to talk about the transformation and I guess the new trends of EPOS in hotels. So I think if I just go back to March, and Neil's touched on some of this stuff in his presentation. Go back to March, and obviously there was huge panic about what this technology, what's happening, why businesses are closing, what the solution is, and lots of people rushed out and were turning to technology to think, how do I fix this solution? How do I remove paper menus from my business? But also, and then you've got social distancing, you've got minimum staffing levels. So lots of businesses were reducing their menus, trying to keep it simple because they've got less people in kitchens. And also then that kind of human interaction, waiter to customer, and then understanding the customer experience. I think lots of businesses were coming out of the woodwork that just did order and pay, and lots of businesses tried to implement it. And then I think now we're probably in a slightly calmer position where businesses are now saying, right, what is the best solution? What kind of things do I need to think about before I implement? Is my EPOS solution now the right solution for my restaurant? Is it fit for purpose in a post-COVID world? So, just to talk through those elements. I'll talk about the customer experience first, and the customer experience is, people kind of say, is this here to stay? Is it going to last? This trend of order and pay, and I think there's certainly elements of order and pay that are absolutely embedded, and so what we're seeing in some of our customers is that 90% of orders are now placed in restaurants via the customer mobile phone. Now, if I'd said that kind of a year ago, people would probably think I was bonkers, or it would be a really outlier operation. But it's not. These are mainstream sites, and it's also not limited by age demographic, and it's not limited by the type of business. And always go back to the adage of when you see people going through an airport, whether you're kind of millionaire businessmen, they're absolutely used to having a QR code, having their ticket on their phone, and often, and depending on the occasion, you'll get different experiences. But a leisure experience might want to interact more with a waiter. A business experience might want to just order room service via their phone and just be cut off from the world, and that could be the same person. So I think going back a couple of jobs, we used to say you're not full service unless you've got self-service. Each business is different, and each business might want to push more self-service than others. But it's absolutely here to stay. I think the track and trace scanning of QR codes has made, QR codes have made the comeback this year, and now everyone knows what they are. They know how they work. So that's the starting point, really. In terms of the hygiene factor, yes, getting away from paper menus is important, and customers like that from a hygiene perspective. But then what the really interesting stuff comes with what then happens next. So I'll talk about the Bizon solution, and the starting point is scanning a QR code, and that can be placed on the table, and it's specific to that guest. If you scan the QR code, that then opens up a number of possibilities. So the first possibility is, and Neil talks about this, is upsell. And you learn something new every day. Rev Pash in all my days in the industry, I haven't come across that. So thank you, Neil. But yeah, so the upsell element, this isn't specific to Bizon. This is right across the board in terms of self-service technology, customers spend more when they're in control of their own order, as opposed to if they've got a waiter standing over the table. And I think hospitality, for, you know, in my 20 years, have always been slightly resistant to that, the element of that we're a hospitality industry, we've got to be serving our guests, we've got to be hospitable. What we're not suggesting is turning into robots and taking all the people out of a restaurant, even though technically that is possible. What we're advocating is that using technology in the right way can really enhance the experience. So, for example, we never talk about, we don't actively sell using the basis of reducing labour, but in the current climate, actually it's actually a necessity. But what we do advocate to increase the customer experience is, with our technology, you take away the mundane tasks of placing orders and taking orders and taking payment. And what you do is free up your front of house staff you could put one on the door and greet people as they walk in, which is a great experience. You can seat them at the table, you can talk them more about the menu. And so that's a really, kind of enhancing method that the technology enables. And then what our users do is kind of explain the QR code, say how you scan it, and then throughout the meal, customers can quite easily, really quickly via their mobile phone, is just order another drink, order another side, order another starter, and it takes 2 seconds as opposed to flagging down the waiter. Also, if you've got sites with outside space and you might be serving drinks quite a long way away, how do you staff that? Actually, if the customer's got the experience just to place, to ping an order through to the kitchen or the bar, it's really easy. And it's that we've all been in the scenario where you're thinking, do I have a second drink or not? Actually, I've got to flag down a waiter. Okay, it's too, the moment's passed. I'll leave it. So scanning QR codes, opening up a digital menu, placing orders is super quick. So we know about 20 businesses that came out of the woodwork during lockdown 1 and since, which do just order and pay functionality. And by order and pay, it's effectively the customer mobile phone sending orders through to a kitchen. It's a one-way flow of traffic from that system through to EPOS. Of those 20 businesses, about 75% use QR codes and 25% use apps. It's widely regarded that apps, people don't, unless you're a Wetherspoons or a Premier Inn, apps don't really, no one wants an app for everywhere they go. And my worst experience of order and pay, and I think some people, it'd be good to get your comments afterwards, but some people think of order and pay in quite black and white terms. So either we do it or we don't, because I've had a great experience and it's brilliant, or I've had a terrible experience, it's rubbish and it's never going to work for my business. So I've had a rubbish experience where I went to a restaurant and it took 6 minutes to download the app. I then had to register a username and a password, which I've no idea what it is now, obviously. I then had to so I had to pay every single time I placed an order. So the premise of any technology has to be an improvement, even in COVID times. It has to be an improvement on the customer experience that everyone's used to, otherwise they won't use it. So, for example, the ability to open a tab, the ability to charge to a room, the ability to leave tips, and that's a really important one. Particularly when we're talking about staff and staff engagement. If staff want to promote the app, which then helps restaurant sales, because we see customers reporting 35% uplift in sales. You want the staff to promote that, because then the restaurant makes more money, there's more jobs available, it's busier, everyone's more successful, and they make more tips. So So they're the things to think about. So just going back to the start, excuse me. Just going back to the start of the customer journey, when you scan that QR code, in our case, it enables customers to order and place orders and that 35% uplift. It also enables, because you've taken away a paper menu, and it's a question for everyone, you know, what data, going back to Neil's point about data, what data do you get from a paper menu? The answer is obviously a big fat zero. You get the kind of end data from sales. What you can get from a digital menu is elements like, you know, how many items were viewed, how many items were drilled into to see the item description, how many items were put in the shopping basket and actually converted, how many items were taken out of that shopping basket, how effective items are at selling depending on the ranking, you know, the ranking on that menu. So we can give all our customers that visibility because they're looking, because we track, you know, we track customer behavior. So you can understand, it gives you ideas and the actions to say, actually the description of, you know, this product item clearly isn't working because people aren't looking at it. Is it the header? Is it the description? So then you can understand your menu much better. So that's one thing. The other thing you can do as soon as a customer scans a QR code is that it gives you the ability to target them for repeat business. And retail have been doing this, you know, highly successfully for years. Hospitality are way behind, where you know, what you can do is actively advertise to them via Instagram, Facebook, Google Ads. So if they've eaten in your restaurant, you know they're staying a week, they had a nice bottle of Merlot, actually you've got a more expensive bottle of Merlot, you could send them a message the next day and say, you know, we've got, you know, try this Merlot. So this is hyper targeted. And this is stuff that legacy EPOS companies don't traditionally do because they've got all their software to maintain, they've got on-premise stuff. So we're all software as a service, and to Neil's point, you know, that's obviously the way forward. Is much more agile. But the technology is out there to absolutely target people in a really direct way. Particularly if you've got restaurants that, you know, you might have guests that go to the restaurant that aren't staying with you as well. So you need that ability to either pay straight away, charge to the bedroom, pay on checkout, everything we know that we've experienced, you know, in the past. So lots of order and pay apps now require, you know, payment after each order, which is just, you know, it's a terrible customer experience. So you've got to maintain having a tab. You've got to maintain integration with PMS, so that you can charge to room and pay on checkout. Otherwise, you're impairing the customer experience. But all that technology is absolutely available to whether you're, you know, a Premier Inn or an independent single site, and that's because of the advancements in software as a service. I mean, I always go back to the fact I got my first iPhone 8 years ago, and I talked to lots of businesses who haven't updated their EPOS for, you know, 10, 15 years. And the advance in technology in that last 8 years, where we're now doing everything via our phone, whether it's banking, following maps, you know, sat nav, all that stuff is all on our phone. So that is, you know, the place that customers are used to using for anything, you know, Amazon shopping, whatever. So actually ordering via a menu is now really, yeah, everyone is used to it, whether they're in their 70s or in their 20s. And then the final, and then the other piece in the jigsaw is being, I think, one of the, you know, the kind of catchphrases at the moment is agility. So with all the opening and closing, you've got to be really agile. And so the ability to push out, you know, a special, or to have have dynamic pricing, or do a promotion that, like Neil was saying, doing a promotion, or all that can be really easily configured in an agile EPOS solution, which then automatically pushes to that digital menu that the customer has in their hand, without needing, paper menus, which obviously you can't change without, the print cost and the time and effort. So, so having those two pieces joined up is really important. So, one of our unique features is the fact you've got a single platform which connects the order and pay elements, connects the EPOS, and also at the back end connects the payment gateway. So what you don't want, or it's much harder and you get less functionality if you have order and pay software that then requires integration with the existing EPOS platform, which then has the payment gateway at the back end. The benefits of an integrated payment platform as well is that you don't need end of day reconciliation, so you're saving people half an hour and an hour every day. You can do discounts, you can do refunds much quicker and easier. So there are massive benefits to digitizing your menu. The biggest one is the upsell element. 35% uplift. Who doesn't want that? But it's got to be done in a quick, easy, and better way to the status quo. So I just, I can see some people are dashing off, and I'm conscious of time, but so there might be some questions at the end. But hopefully that's been a kind of a small insight into some of the order and pay and EPOS advances that have been happening in the past, 8-9 months. But happy to take any questions.
Anybody?
I had can I just ask a quick couple, if that's right? Dominic, thanks very much. Julian T, I don't know if you can see me on which screen, but anyway, just a couple of things. These are going to seem desperately negative points, so let me flag that right now, and I apologise for being negative. But so I've learned massive amounts about technology this year, more so than I've learned in the last 25, 28 years in this sector. So, huge leap. But all the technology that's available there and everything that you've spoken about is wonderful. I think the bits that we move away from perhaps are elements of control, though, just from an operator's perspective. So being able to control the flow of orders going into a kitchen and therefore manage expectations on timing and walkouts. Where do you go with walkouts? So both of those points are really negative and go against kind of all those positives that you've been speaking about. But I just wondered from a developer's perspective, not from an operator's perspective, from a developer's perspective, how you approach those sort of aspects when you're then talking with potential customers to buy your product.
Yeah, so the walkout question is, so the answer is the whole process is exactly the same as if you manage a table and open a tab and open a tab on EPOS. So the customer walk away. Do you mean walking away without paying?
Yeah, because if I'm not required to bring the PDQ machine over to you to pay, that kind of, it's just that thing that, okay, this now closes our transaction. Thank you for coming. Goodbye, sort of thing. Because you the consumer are now in control of order, pay, leave. I mean, in theory, I'm not necessarily checking on you as much as I might do by going to the EPOS system, printing your bill.
Julian, I think I can, from a financial control point of view, I think I can answer that one. If you go into a restaurant and you sit down and they serve you normally, you are totally unknown to that person. They have no connection whatsoever who you are. If you walk out the door, you are Joe Bloggs. Yeah. With a system like this, if you walk out that door, they know exactly who you were because they can surely trace you back and even take you to court. So I would say from that point of view, if somebody were going to do it, they were less likely to do it with a system that's automated like this because they know they're being identified. Right. At the end of the day, if somebody wants to do it. So sorry, but I think as go Go on, Dominic.
Yeah, and it's, yeah, but simply, you're opening a tab in exactly the same way, but also what you can do is, using your staff to understand where they are within their, the journey of their menu. So are they on desserts? You know when that table's going to become free. The waiter can also take payment themselves. So again, a unique feature of ours is that because it's all on one platform, the waiter can see exactly what the customer is doing. So if the waiter applies a discount, the customer can see that discount appear on their phone. If the customer orders another item, and your second question was about control, the orders go through to effectively the central EPOS solution, so then they can check the order to then approve it to go to the kitchen or to the bar. So if there's a table with 2 people on it and they've ordered 4 mains, they've done something wrong, in which case the waiter would look at that order, go over to the table and say, look, I just want to check, are you really hungry? So there's ways that you use the solution to enhance that experience, and that's what customers like. It's like, look, I'm using technology so I can place my order really quickly, but actually I've still got that human interaction. You could still talk about, what wine goes well with the beef bourguignon and whatever. So it's just about the staff understanding how that best kind of plays out.
Okay, right. Dominic, thanks very much. Appreciate it. Thank you.
Pleasure.
Who was Kat? Were you?
Well, I've as a consumer, as a guest at some particular pubs and hotels locally, I've had some really good experiences of this. For example, Young's are doing it really well down south. Now that is an app, but even my curmudgeonly father and the camera lot, without wanting to stereotype, but they are curmudgeonly camera types, are using this app and it's working really well. Are there any hoteliers or people at the sharp end who are using this on the call who are finding it really useful?
Don't think so. I think going a whole new market out here. Right. John, who is using it at the moment? Just to give an idea of.
Yeah, well, from our experience, obviously restaurants and pubs are ahead of hotels. I mean, we're just starting rolling it out with Accor, but even Accor are at the, they've been using our EPOS for a number of years, but they're just getting around to the order and pay functionality. So yeah, I think hotels are behind restaurants and pubs, probably understandably so, but there's a definite opportunity to catch up, and it's not a big project. I mean, we set customers up in a week, and that's everything from EPOS, order and pay, and the hardware. So the days of kind of big EPOS company projects being months, again, because of the advances in technology, is much quicker and easier.
It's great. Sorry, it's great technology, but unfortunately, we're heading down the road of what they call social media, which I would say is antisocial, because we're losing the interaction with the customer. It's speeding things up in some senses, and it's probably more cost effective, but we're getting away from the customer experience of the interaction.
Hi, Cameron. I totally respect what you're saying, but in some ways, I'd almost say after my experience with systems and with processes and everything within the industry, I'd almost say possibly we're not, because if you take away the functionality of a transaction and make it an automated process, your waiter's got more time to actually concentrate on being a friendly, helpful, suggestive, welcoming, that sort of person towards your clients, because they no longer have to think about, oh, well, do I have to do this? Do I have to do that? What have I taken that order? Have I? No, they're dealing with the client. As long as the worst thing the company can do is take this software, some software like this, and cut the number of people they have in their restaurant, because they probably won't get the massive benefit from it, because they'll be relying on the customer to upsell themselves. Whereas if you take the advantage of the fact that that waiter is now freed up from the more menial jobs of taking the order, of taking the payment, they should be concentrating on being the host. They should be concentrating on upselling to the client. They should be concentrating on giving them advice. And if you work it that way around, I'm sure you do get the upgrade of the sales, and also you get the upgrade of the experience.
And just to jump in there, and in answer to the question, so order and pay is an element where the customer controls it, but also from the staffing perspective, we've got customers where what they want to do is be a better host. So with technology, with a mobile phone, the staff, so whoever's on reception, basically we've got businesses that are taking away reception desks, and the front of house staff just have a phone. And then with that phone, they can greet the guest as they walk in the door. They could sit them down on a nice sofa, check them in with one app, and then order their food and drink with another app and say, can I get you a drink on arrival? And as sitting down, they just place an order, sends the order to the bar, the barman brings it to sofa sofa number 1, or however you lay it out. So that's a great experience that the staff are still owning. And that's what having all the functionality all on one platform enables your hotel to do. So it's not all about taking it, giving all the responsibility to the customer. It can also enhance how the staff work and how effective they are.
Hey, Raphael?
Yeah, sorry, I must say, I think we've launched something similar with a QR code, and it's not an app, it's just a web page where people can order online, they can do the room service. We had a large terrace over the summer as well. Everyone was using it outside, and it was a very good thing for us for track and trace as well, because people from the outside had to register first, and then we had obviously all the informations. But I think with the generations, we could see a big shift as well. I think we're not even talking about the millennium anymore, but we're talking about the younger generations, where, I respect what Cameron said about the interactions and things like that, but those people don't really tend to interact, and the way they interact is through social media, is through an app, it's for, they want to order everything online. As little interaction as possible is better for them. And I think we've seen quite a benefit as well. What was surprising with that system is our spend has increased as well, because the way it was built, there was loads of add-on and things like that. So even though you're missing the upselling from the team, you still get the upselling through the app as such. And I think that was very beneficial, because our spend was kind of boomed as well over the summer, having an extra drinks, having an extra side and things like that as well. So I think I can see the pros and cons from the system, and it was kind of, the payment was taken through Stripe, Dominic, as well. So it was kind of a different way as well of taking payments as well.
More expensive way as well.
It is. Yeah, I think, to be honest, Dominic, I think it was kind of a very quick way of trying to find a way where we can do an online system without building an app, and we actually did it through one of our supplier, Bibendum. Bibendum kind of came up with a system for us, and it kind of worked very well in the short term. So
yeah, great.
Hi, Robin.
Yep. Hi, Terry.
Hi everyone. Dominic, great presentation. Thank you. I think it's extremely exciting, all the things we can do with technology. But again, reflecting back on Cameron's comments, I have to say I have a dichotomy with this. I see all the advantages of the technology, but we are actually a human race. And I know that when I go to a restaurant in particular, and even in a hotel, I want that personal touch. I mean, here we are doing a cyber meeting. I actually want human personalities. I want somebody to say, "Hiya, Terry, how are you?" I want all of that. I think that sociologically, we are collectively creating something very different. And indeed, I think part of that's actually going to be a great big divide. And also the gentleman who was saying about the youngsters, when they come in, so the next generation, it's completely true. They actually don't have the social skills to converse. Yep. And I'm not a person, so this is where the dichotomy is. I see all the advantages there, But I think there is something extremely precious about connecting and having human dialogue with people and encouraging that type of thing. And especially when I go to a nice restaurant or a nice hotel, I often don't want to be looking at my phone. The smartwatch is off. I don't want to be messaging. I don't want phone calls coming through. I don't want to be ordering, you know, via an app, having to get my contact lenses in, my specs out, the magnifier on and all that. I want somebody to come and speak to me. I want that. I need that. I think human beings need that. And I think collectively, we're all being pulled into the wonderfulness of all the technology. We're actually moving away from that. I don't have the answer here. I'm only having a chat with you, but I think maybe somewhere in that there has to be the balance. And so I'm not in the older generation. I'm not in the younger generation. I'm where everybody else is. So somewhere in between. But my parents, for example, wouldn't want to do the app. I know the youngsters will all want to do that, but their social skills are going downhill enormously. The whole interaction with the Facebook, the app, all of this stuff, it is not good news in the longer term. So all I would say, it's been great, and I do use the online stuff myself, but we must, and you know, when you phone a hotel, how many of you, this is rhetorical really, but if somebody actually picks up the phone, you're like, oh my goodness, that's wonderful. You know, and somebody actually takes the time rather than, let me go through this option here that, oh, we're really busy and we're reduced staff and all that, which of course many are. But how wonderful is it to actually just have somebody say, hi, welcome to the Sheraton or whatever, or how can I help you? What are you looking for? How can I help you? And how can I make this hospitality experience for you and your husband or whatever actually special to you, rather than you're just a number, press this, press that, book online, because I don't have time and we don't have the staff. And then, you know, and I appreciate the value where you can order extra and the establishment will gain more by an extra side or an extra drink. But it's not just about that. Those of us who take ourselves into those environments do it because we want it to be warm. We don't want it all to be cyber. We don't want it to be distant. We want people there.
So Sarah, Terry, I'm not on commission from Dominic, I assure you, but I think that's the beauty of the system that they have, because at the same time as you can have a couple of young people on one table who are doing it all themselves and don't want that interaction, you can have the waiter taking his own tablet to another table of those more senior people and actually giving them that theory within the same restaurant, because it has that waiter client interaction, which a lot of these perhaps don't have. Some systems just have, you've got to do it online, and that's it. And some systems have it.
We will all have to move forward with times and technology. I'm just saying, be very mindful that we don't become too, and we remember how wonderful it feels to actually connect with a human being.
Yeah, I think
quite agree.
Yeah, the other thing that the other element of that. So yeah, Robin's absolutely right. You know, if you think your customer wants that personal touch, you're going to have a member of staff that is walking over to that table with our system. It would be with a mobile phone or a tablet instead of a notepad, and that's just a way of taking the order. And you're operating exactly the same way, but you're sending an order. And what there's, again, having everything on one platform means that you could take the first drinks via the human touch with the waiter. The customer can then place their second drinks or their starter with their mobile phone. The waiter can then come over and take desserts. And then if they think, blimey, actually it's and I'm tired, they can pay for the meal themselves with their phone, as opposed to that traditional wait of 12, 15 minutes to pay the bill at the end. Or if they want to hang around,
I really get that, but let's take, for example, in the days and even now, in my house, we come to the dinner table and it's a no phone zone. So it's a dichotomy. I understand why people are doing what they're doing, but just try to, it's just a discussion. I would like to encourage people to cultivate the art of human interaction rather than this. I mean, it's almost like a high-speed train that we're all on, a super highway. And, you know, it is going in that direction. I'm just saying that there's something else there as well. So, and just to be mindful of that. And if I come to any of your hotels, and I hope to do that, people, you know, I would encourage that. And for example, when I do food safety and training and so on, and I personally prefer delivering things person to person. There will always be other ways of doing things. I'm just saying, remember, we're all human as well. And it's great. And I will use things sometimes, but Cameron, I think I'm probably on the same page as you in that, and I will be caught betwixt and between it and try to move forward, but always being mindful that human beings need that connection.
Quite agree. Quite agree, Terry.
Valuable debate, everybody. And Robin, to come back to your comment about earlier on, I think what you highlighted was equally the benefit, but also the risk with these kind of technological solutions. Yes, can absolutely see that in certain circumstances, the tech helps to actually enhance the guest experience and allows the human interaction to be more focused on the service elements rather than the functionary. But equally, I know, and I'm sure there's others in here, I know operators that would see that as an opportunity to cut staffing levels and to automate even more. I wouldn't be keen on encouraging that. But equally, you know, the first time 3 or 4 years ago that I saw Witherspoons and Gatwick Airport, where I could sit at the table as a solo business traveller, order my food and drink, and it gets brought to me, I thought it was fantastic. So horses for courses. I'm kind of with you as well, Terry. It's the hospitality industry at the end of the day, and I would be very sad to see the hospitality element being lost. I guess that my final comment, we're in a transition period. You know, people like Cameron, myself, Terry, clearly there. You know, we want the human interaction. We want that guest experience. The younger generation, and Robin and Dominic are absolutely right. The younger generation actually don't care. Just look at how they would sooner use a chat bot for a customer service interaction. You know, really picking up on what Raphael was saying, and it's fascinating listening to your experiences. The younger generation would rather text and chat with somebody than have a human conversation. So we're in a transition. I think in another 10 or 15 years, we'll look back on this conversation just as some of the conversations that I was talking about in the chat box that we were having 20 years ago.
I was just going to say, Barry, think back 10 years and how would it feel that instead of having to being able to go onto the internet and book your room, you had to take that phone, we had to make that phone call.
I was involved in exactly those conversations 20 years ago, Robin.
Yeah.
I remember in my Premier Inn days sitting in meetings where the concept of self-check-in and booking by web was being laughed at. Look at where we are now.
I think that's part of the skill of the front of house staff. You know, they're customer facing.
Absolutely.
They should be the ones who are good at understanding what that customer wants. So do they want to be left alone with an order via their phone, or do they want someone to come over and talk to them and, you know, give that really personal level of service? And what the important thing is having a system that gives the option for all those scenarios, so that every single one of your customers walks away happy.
It's building that into the training, isn't it? Essentially teaching them about behaviours and how to spot, like Raphael said, that so many of the youngsters, they don't want personal service. They want quick, automated, in and out, and they don't want to talk to anyone. Whereas, you know, the rest of us, Terry, I absolutely agree. Hospitality is about people. It's about feeling warm and getting service, and, you know, and the challenge for our teams to know which it is and which way do I go and what's the best way is huge, and it's down to the training, isn't it?
Yeah.
In behavioural.
Yeah, but I think
you've started.
That's what's good about this forum, is it always ends up something to talk about, something to discuss. It's getting
important that it's important that you're not just pushing a technology solution. The technology has to support. Again, I go back to the adage of the experience has to be better than what is in place today. And if you don't have a self-service solution, it doesn't suit half the market. And if you do, it will suit the other the other half. So what you want is both, best of both worlds.
Yep. Well, I think we've had a good chat today. I think it's brought out a few points. I think the overall thing we brought out of the conversations today is the importance of data in modern business, and also the importance of good training to our staff, so that whichever applications they're using, whichever way the business is going, they know how to make the most of the business to actually improve it. And I think that's a very important take from the meeting. We're down at 11:25. It's been a good one today. So thank everybody for attending. I'll send out the summary later on as usual, and look forward to seeing you again in 2 weeks' time, hopefully.
Okay.
Wonderful.
Thank you very much.
Goodbye.
Everyone, see you next time.
Bye, everybody.
All right.